Hello, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Yelena, and I'm from Belkasoft. This is a third webinar dedicated to a new feature in Belkasoft Evidence Center, which is called Checkmate Exploit. Today we are going to speak about a DFU mode, which is an important prerequisite for a full file system extraction with a checkmate feature in Belkasoft Evidence Center. After that, we'll demonstrate how it works. So, our agenda for today. We will start with Belkasoft and its customers. Then we'll delve into the key topic of this webinar, the iPhone's DFU mode, what it is, why do you need it for checkmate exploit. Then I'll tell you about our cool and easy to use product Belkasoft Evidence Center and what is checkmate exploit, and how you can benefit from the new checkmate feature in Belkasoft Evidence Center. We'll show you a live demo, how to enter the DFU mode on several iPhone models. At the end of the webinar, I'll provide you with some details about how to get the new checkmate feature. So, let's start with a Belkasoft brief description. Belkasoft is a team of professionals in digital forensics, data recovery, and reverse engineering. The company mostly focuses on creating technologically advanced and easy-to-use products for investigators and forensic experts. The first Belkasoft product was released in 2007. Geographically, Belkasoft is presented with 3 offices in the US and Europe. We mostly work with the customers in government agencies and federal departments, in police and law enforcement agencies. There are several thousand Belkasoft customers all over the world. On this slide, you can see some of our significant US customers, some big names like the US Department of Homeland Security, NASA, Deloitte, KPMG. And outside the US, our customers are Air Canada, the Sussex Police, the government of Hong Kong, and many more loyal customers. Let's proceed our webinar with the detailed explanation what is the iPhone's DFU mode. Device firmware upgrade or DFU is a part of the secure ROM, Apple's boot ROM, and it is burned into the hardware, so it cannot be disabled. In brief, the DFU mode is the deepest type of restore you can do on iDevices. It allows all iOS devices to be restored from any state. The DFU mode shouldn't be confused with the recovery mode. Recovery mode is a simple method for any iPhone user to recover the device in case it stopped answering. So, both DFU and recovery modes are supposed to recover Apple devices from issues. And the key difference between these two modes is that the DFU mode is not for an ordinary user. So, to enter it, you should know the sequence of actions and its timing. As a result, entering the DFU mode can be difficult even for advanced users and experts. As previously said, to enter the DFU mode, you need to be quite an expert, and so you should be aware of the additional preparations before you start the procedure. First, check that you have the latest iTunes version on your PC or laptop. Secondly, the device should be connected to your PC with the original USB 3.0 cable. And make sure you have the right settings for the device screen. While you extract data from the iPhone with Belkasoft Evidence Center, the phone display shouldn't lock. Now let's find out how the DFU mode is entered for various iPhone models. The sequence of actions to enter the DFU mode for iPhone 6s and some lower models includes an interaction with 2 buttons, Lock button and Home button. First, you hold down both the Home button and Lock button. After 8 seconds, release the lock button while continuing to hold down the home button. When in the DFU mode, the screen turns black. For iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, you will use two buttons as well, though instead of the home button, you press volume down button. First of all, hold down both the side button and volume down button. After 8 seconds, release the side button while continuing to hold down the volume down button. That's it. When in the DFU mode, the screen turns black. The same algorithm. To enter the DFU mode on iPhone X, 8 and 8 Plus, you will have to use three buttons: volume up and volume down buttons at the left side of the screen and side button at the right side. You just quickly press and release the volume up button, then quickly press and release the volume down button, and then press and hold the side button until the screen goes black. As soon as the screen turns black, press and hold the volume down button while continuing to hold the side button. After 5 seconds, release the side button but continue to hold the volume down button. That's it. Later we will show you the process for all the enlisted iPhone models during the live demo. So now we know how to enter the DFU mode on iPhone devices. Let's preview what is happening in Belkasoft Evidence Center meanwhile you enter the iPhone's DFU mode. So first you make sure that the device is connected to the PC correctly. Launch Belkasoft Evidence Center, create a new case and choose the mobile in the menu as the source for acquiring analysis. Then just click Apple Checkmate. In the next window, the software will suggest you to pick up the iPhone model you are going to acquire and analyze. After that, you will see the short guide how to enter the DFU mode. Just follow it. While the DFU mode is entered on the device, you will see the checkmate icon on the iPhone screen. After the device is exploited, you will see the standard lock screen. You may extract a full file system image only if you have a passcode to unlock the phone. If you don't know the passcode, the file system image will be extracted partially. Let's move on to checkmate. A modern mobile device contains tons of sensitive and personal information about its owner. And mobile digital forensics deals with retrieving data from a mobile device. Evidence should always be saved and analyzed in a proper manner so that to be used later in the court. In other words, should be forensically sound. But it's becoming more and more difficult to extract data from mobile devices. So I'm sure that most of you are aware that Apple's policy in terms of getting privileges to alter something inside the iDevices is quite strict. And Apple publicly disapproves of jailbreaking. In September 2019, an independent researcher and developer discovered a hard-coded vulnerability and released Checkmate exploit. So, Checkmate is an exploit of a vulnerability in boot ROM of Apple devices, and it's very popular already for a number of reasons. First of all, it's called Epic because it's unpatchable. It's hidden inside the hardware of every vulnerable device. It allows for a jailbreak or semi-tethered jailbreak. Probably you've already heard of a checkra jailbreak. Checkmate allows a full file system extraction even without jailbreak, and that's the key point. That's what is valuable for experts. There is one problem, however. Checkra jailbreak runs only on Mac OS and Linux. but there is no open source or free support for Windows yet. And Belkasoft is the one among the only two vendors on the market with the support for Checkmate inside its solutions. There is one important point to mention. Don't confuse Checkmate and Checkra1n. Checkra1n is a jailbreak, Checkmate is an exploit. In Belkasoft, we supported Checkra1n 4 months ago, and that was not difficult at all. But Checkmate is a completely different story. It took a few months of research for our R&D team to support that on Windows. And Belkasoft Evidence Center with Checkmate feature allows acquiring of a full file system of iOS devices without doing jailbreak. So you don't need to do this complicated jailbreak procedure. And that's why the Checkmate feature in Belkasoft Evidence Center is a disruptive functionality. Probably the first question you have in your mind after the explanation of what is Checkmate exploit, what devices are vulnerable. Here on this slide you may see the full range of iDevices with the vulnerability including iPhones and iPads, Apple TV and Apple Watch. And this vulnerability is available for the iDevices running A11 chip or earlier up to A5. The next important question you may ask, what iOS versions are supported? As this vulnerability is inside the chip, the only way to fix it for Apple is to recall all the existing devices. This is quite expensive and impractical. That's why the Checkmate exploit affects any iOS version, and this vulnerability can be fixed in the iDevices that has already been used by customers for some time. And the last but not the least question you may have is if it's possible to retrieve data with Checkmate remotely. And the answer is no. There is no remote access to iDevices available with Checkmate. You should have a device physically to extract its full file system image. Okay, we've just discussed the key topics of our webinar, the DFU mode, Checkmate exploit, but what about Belkasoft product? How does it help the digital forensic experts all over the world? What is Belkasoft Evidence Center? Belkasoft Evidence Center is an all-in-one digital forensic and incident response software. It helps investigators all over the world to acquire, search, analyze, store, and share digital evidence found inside a computer and mobile devices, inside random access memory, and inside the cloud. So, what are the key benefits you get with it? First of all, Checkmate exploit with Belkasoft Evidence Center is available on Windows. All public implementations of Checkmate exploit run on macOS and Linux operating systems only. However, our method allows using this vulnerability on computers with Windows 10. Belkasoft Evidence Center with the Checkmate feature supports of a vast range of iOS versions. The new approach allows us to investigate iPhones from 5S model to X model and iOS versions 12.3, 13.3. And what's more, and it's a completely new feature, iOS 13.4 version is supported, what makes Evidence Center the only digital forensic tool on the market having this feature. The next benefit is that a full file system is extracted and analyzed. That's what experts all over the world are looking for in innovative IT solutions for digital forensic purposes. It should be mentioned as well that full file system extraction is much broader than iTunes backup. Examples of the data which is not in iTunes backups are WhatsApp and Telegram chats, health app and Fitbit and other fitness tracker data, CarPlay data, and so on. And one more important thing about Belkasoft Evidence Center with Checkmate feature is after you finish with data retrieving of the device, no one would be able to find any traces of exploit. Okay, so let's move on to live demo. For this webinar demo, we selected 3 iPhone models, iPhone 6, 7, and X. So let's move on to the demo. Here we have an iPhone 6 connected to the PC. Belkasoft Evidence Center is launched and ready to start. We create a new case, name it, and choose a root folder. Wait a bit while the case is created. In the next window, we select Mobile and Apple Checkmate as an acquisition method. Then we choose iPhone 6 and see the guidelines how to put the certain phone model into the DFU mode. Meanwhile, we need to restart the phone before putting it in DFU mode. Then we make all the required actions with the lock button and home button to put the device into the DFU mode. Hold down both the home button and lock button, then proceed pressing it for 8 seconds. Release the lock button while continuing to hold down the home button. Let's see how a researcher do this. If we do the sequence of actions correctly, the screen will stay black. It means the phone is in DFU mode. Belkasoft Evidence Center will notify you when it happens. After that, the exploit is being installed on the iPhone by Belkasoft Evidence Center. As a proof of an exploit, you will see an Apple logo on the screen of the iPhone and then the Checkmate logo over it. Okay. In a few seconds, the Checkmate logo disappears and we see the Apple logo and the phone turns on. We see the screen lock. So we recommend not to unlock the phone so that more data to be extracted from the device. Belkasoft Evidence Center detects that the phone is in DFU mode and we can proceed to acquire the image. Okay, here we see in Belkasoft Evidence Center that Checkmate exploit is installed. Let's see how the demo looks like for iPhone 7. In Belkasoft Evidence Center, we create a new case, name it, and wait a moment while the case is created. In the next window, we choose Apple Checkmate as an acquisition method. Then we choose iPhone 7 and see the guidelines for DFU mode. Here, our researcher shows how to put the iPhone 7 into the DFU mode. We are using 2 buttons as well as with iPhone 6, though instead of the home button, you press volume down button. So the process is almost the same. You count to 8 or 10, release the side button while continuing to hold the volume down button, and when in the DFU mode, the screen stays turned off. As well as with the iPhone 6, you will see an Apple logo on the screen of the iPhone, and then the checkmate logo over it as a proof of an exploit. In a few seconds, the checkmate logo disappears, and we see the Apple logo. Here we are. After that, the phone turns on, and we see the screen lock. Belkasoft Evidence Center detects that the phone is in DFU mode, and we can proceed to acquire the image. After the checkmate exploit is completed, Belkasoft Evidence Center starts to acquire image. The task for image acquisition is available in Task Manager, so you may overlook the process. At last, we are going to show the process of entering DFU mode on iPhone X. In Belkasoft Evidence Center, we start immediately with Apple checkmate acquisition method selecting. Then we choose iPhone X in the drop-down menu and see the guidelines for entering the DFU mode for this certain model. Let's observe the process live on the screen of the phone. To enter the DFU mode on iPhone X, we're using three buttons: volume up and volume down buttons at the left side of the screen and side button at the right side. You just quickly press and release the volume up button, then quickly press and release the volume down button, and then press and hold the side button until the screen goes black. As soon as the screen turns black, press and hold the volume down button while continuing to hold the side button. After 5 seconds, release the side button but continue to hold the volume down button. As soon as the Belkasoft detects that the phone is in DFU mode, we may choose the target path and can proceed to acquire the phone's image. Now Belkasoft is communicating to the device to install the checkmate exploit. On the screen of the iPhone, the Apple logo appears with the checkmate logo over it. Few seconds later, we see only an Apple logo, and then the lock screen appears. So, Belkasoft Evidence Center notifies us that the phone exploit is completed and the process of image acquisition starts. Okay, hope the demo was useful. And our webinar is coming to an end. And as I've promised at the beginning of the webinar, I'm going to provide you with the details on how to get the checkmate feature in Evidence Center. If you want to test the checkmate by yourself, just contact us to discuss the details. Here on the screen you may see the contact emails. Moreover, I'd like to ask you not to miss the opportunity to get yourself familiar with the useful resources we prepared for you. For example, landing page about checkmate feature, comparison of checkmate and checkrain landing page, and some latest articles on the topic. So checkmate glossary and full file system extraction for iOS devices with Belkasoft Evidence Center. So this is the end of our webinar. Thank you for participating in it. In case of any questions, just let us know.